June 1775, Continental Army with General George Washington as its commander was formed in the Second Continental Congress in Philadelphia. That same month, American troops were defeated by the British at the Battle of Bunker Hill in Massachusetts. This battle, on one hand, inflicted heavy casualties on the Crown troops, but on the other hand, it prepared the ground and boosted the confidence of the inexperienced Americans in the upcoming battles against the enemy. Throughout that fall and winter, the war went badly for the Americans, as they were outnumbered and outpowered by the British forces. However, in late winter, the balance of the fight was shifted when British artillery was captured at Fort Ticonderoga in New York. In March 1776, the British, led by General William Howe, the commander-in-chief of the British Army, retreated to Canada to prepare for a major invasion of New York. 1 year after the beginning, the Revolutionary War was at full scale, and by June 1776, many colonists demanded independence from Britain. On July 4, 1776, the Continental Congress adopted a Declaration of Independence written mainly by Thomas Jefferson. That same month, a large British fleet was sent to New York with the aim to crush the rebellion. 2 months later, routed by Howe's redcoats on Long Island, Washington's troops were forced to evacuate from New York City. However, the surprise attack in Trenton and the battle near Princeton, New Jersey, after that, marked another small victory for the colonials and revived the flagging hopes of the rebels. Battle of Saratoga, the turning point. Aiming at separating the most rebellious groups in New England from the other colonies, the British came up with a strategy involving two main prongs of attack. One led by General John Burgoyne, marching south from Canada, planned to meet the other led by Howe on the Hudson River. In July, in an attempt to retake Fort Ticonderoga, Burgoyne's troops suffered a devastating loss to the Americans. While Howe troops moved southward from New York to confront Washington's army near the Chesapeake Bay. On September 11th, the Americans were defeated at Brandywine Creek, Pennsylvania, and 14 days after that, the British entered Philadelphia. On October 4th, Washington struck back at Germantown, Maryland, but was compelled to withdraw to winter quarters at Valley Forge. In the north, the story was different. After being defeated by American forces in the first battle at Freeman's Farm, New York, and the second one at Bemis Heights, New York, General Burgoyne and his men were forced to surrender on October 17th. The American victory in Saratoga was considered the turning point of the war, as it involved France, which had been secretly aiding Americans since 1776, but was reluctant to declare itself openly as an ally. The American Revolution first sparked as a civil conflict between Britain and its colonies, then became an international war. Stalemate in the North, battle in the South. Following the American victory in Saratoga, New York, France and America signed treaties of alliance on February 6, 1778, in which France provided America with troops and warships. During the winter at Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, Washington's forces received training and discipline from France. On June 28, 1778, when withdrawing from Philadelphia, Henry Clinton, who replaced Howe to take over the British forces, and his troops were attacked by Washington's army near Monmouth, New Jersey. This battle ended in a draw, letting Clinton's army get to New York safely. As the joint attack against the British in late July failed, France and America besieged Newport, Rhode Island. The war was locked in a stalemate phase in the north. In the south, Georgia and Charleston, South Carolina were occupied by the British in early 1779 and May 1780, respectively. Under the command of Lord Charles Cornwallis, British forces launched an offensive that defeated the Americans at Camden in mid-August. Later, on October 7th, American troops led by Isaac Shelby and John Sevier defeated Major Patrick Ferguson and one-third of General Cornwallis's army at Kings Mountain. In early 1781, General Daniel Morgan routed the British at Cowpens, South Carolina, marking America's victory on January 17th. The end of the colonial era in the U.S. The last major battle of the American Revolutionary War took place at Yorktown, Virginia in 1781. Washington and French commander Rochambeau teamed up to prepare for an attack against Clinton's forces with a total of around 14,000 soldiers and 36 French warships. Being surrounded and outpowered on land and sea by the Americans and French, Cornwallis and his entire army were forced to surrender on October 19, 1981. Following the battle at Yorktown and Cornwallis's surrender, the British still had its men stationed in some areas until the removal of their troops from Charleston and Savannah in late 1782. The war officially ended with the Treaty of Paris on September 3, 1783, by which Britain recognized American independence. Why the Revolutionary War matters. The Revolutionary War was considered an exemplary event in the history of the world, through which the United States of America came into existence and became the first country to drive out the hereditary monarchy and establish democracy. On top of that, the War of American Independence can be said to open a new era in the New World and pave the way for a new epoch for the Old World.